Welcome to Real Estate in the Tri-State, where we talk about all things buying, selling, and investing in the Dubuque area. Featuring experienced locals giving you their real estate insight. My name is Abby Rottler, and here is your host, my husband, Rob Rottler.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Estate in the Tri-State. Today's guest is the Director of New Construction and Development for Rule and Rule Realtors. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Falk. Dave, welcome to it, man.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
I am excited to have you here. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself so we can get to know you better?
Okay, well, basically, the last 30 years I've been involved in real estate, sales, and management with a specialty over that time in new construction. And I've become involved in new construction development and the marketing of new construction developments. So I have a background working with both builders and developers, with people who write the rules, municipalities, and govern those things, and of course agents who are going to market them. And so my principal purpose in life with Rule and Rule is to do those kinds of things with a focus on helping the company or helping individual agents acquire listing opportunities in new construction. Prior to that, I've been involved in marketing in terms of distribution of material goods to industry and business. I spent time as an independent designer of retail stores, homes, offices, that sort of thing, and interiors, and also between distribution and manufacturing of case goods, counters, cabinets, display cases, and things for interior. So kind of a diverse background, but the last 30 years has been focused on the real estate and new construction.
Very good. A lot of real estate there. What got you interested in real estate right off the bat? Why'd you choose real estate?
Actually, I had a business acquaintance who kind of talked me into it, and I was making a transition from another business, and was fortunate enough to be doing some consulting work that left me kind of with extra brain time, if you will. And he kind of talked me into it, thought that there might be something there that would work for me with my background in design, and he was right. So it's not real complicated.
Yeah, very good. Sometimes the simple things are great too. So why don't you just get us started here? I guess my first big question, just rolling right into it. What do people need to know, just the average home buyer? What do people need to know if they're going to get going and they want to consider new construction?
Well, obviously, the first thing that you consider anytime you're buying any home is, what do I want and what do I need? Mm-hmm. And what can I do? Because sometimes there's a disparity between what a person would like to do and what they're financially or physically capable of doing and what's available in their market. So you kind of have to sort it out in your own mind what your expectations are. And we call that establishing realistic expectations. And part of our job in real estate is to help people establish those expectations and then help them manage them through whatever process they're going through. So when they're looking at the first thing is, first know thyself, so to speak, and know,
I like it.
and know that part, and know decide what's really important to you. Look at get a trained professional like yourself to help with the process of sorting out what we want, what I want that's available in the marketplace. What do I want? Where do I want it? Where do I want to live? Those sorts of things are very helpful in sorting out the process and narrowing down your choices so that you're not spending a lot of time bouncing off the wall, so to speak, out in the marketplace. And because when you're doing that, number one, you're spending a lot of time that might be used for something more valuable, and you're missing opportunities too. So if you can focus your wants and needs and capabilities and then go forward, I think you're in for a lot more satisfying process.
That was so great, and I love that answer for both new construction and existing homes.
Right.
You know,
there's a lot of similarities between the two processes. That's right.
Definitely. The buyers that come to me and they know what they want and they have their criteria and they got a good visual picture in their mind of what they're looking for, and their expectations are in a good spot and they can afford what they're looking for. They're the ones who are set up for a nice, pleasant process. And it sounds to me like that same thing is happening with new construction. So, okay, so they have kind of set their expectations with themselves. They figured out their budget. They got all that figured out. And then maybe they're like, okay, we just want so many things custom built. There's no way that there's an existing house out there. We need to go new construction. Now what?
Well, I think you've already decided what it is you want. Okay. Then, theoretically, hopefully by this point in time, you've already visited with at least a primary lender who can give you an idea of what you can do, financially at least. And then I think then it's time to use your realtor in helping you locate where these opportunities may be. What are the builders? Not every builder builds in every price range. Not every builder can build in every neighborhood. So if you have factors that are based around price or neighborhood or sometimes even style of home, if for some reason you happen to be a Frank Lloyd Wright fan and you want something with a flat roof, that's going to limit your choices of builders. And this is something that the professional can help you sort out based on what people have built, what they have shown to the public, what they have expressed a willingness to do. Because I've had, over the years, I've had a number of builders that have just rejected opportunities because people come in with a personal want that really doesn't fit the builder's business plan. The builder isn't willing to take the time sometimes to learn a new trick, so to speak, or find out about a new style or a new. I had a call not too long ago from somebody who wanted to know who the best builders in a certain market were for homes with rounded roofs.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, and very honestly, and basically they're looking at a Quonset hut, and they even called them Quonset hut houses. Well, I was talking about a market of 400,000 people, and in 30 years I've never seen a house like that built. So I actually had, I wasn't embarrassed by it, but I had to say, honestly, I don't know of anyone. I know some people that are relatively creative and relatively open-minded, and that's where I would start. But I doubt that any of them has ever built a Quonset home.
Yeah. Wow. I think about that too. I just was on vacation down in Austin, Texas, and they have some traditional builds like we do around here. They have a lot of ranches and stuff in different neighborhoods, but they also have some of these like super modern looking houses with the flat roofs and like just something that would never, like you'd never see any of it in Dubuque. And now that you're saying these things, I'm wondering like, geez, if I'm someone in Dubuque, I'm looking to build and I wanted something like that, it wouldn't even know where to start. It'd be so difficult. You'd have to pay someone from somewhere else to come build it or something like that. It would just seem like it would be a mess. But also, I mean, leading into another topic is like covenants, Like a lot of these neighborhoods, around Dubuque and probably in most cities have covenants that can make it tough.
Oh, covenants will preclude things like A-frames, Quonset huts. Now, I've never seen one that specifically did that, but Quonset huts seem to be on the tip of my tongue lately because of that. Because, quite frankly, there's some intriguing designs. I actually did some research on them, getting off to the side a little bit after that, because I thought, like, well, that's the first time in 30 years anybody's ever asked for a Quonset hut home. So I kind of did some research, and there's some beautiful plans out there that, you know, don't look anything like Quonset huts when they get done. They just look like homes with arched roofs. but I think that there are a lot of traditional subdivisions that won't allow, you know, even some pre-manufactured homes, or even some homes that even have components that are pre-manufactured, although they're getting away from that. That's becoming much more accepted. So you have to be very careful of that. But I would say something that's that extreme, like a Quonset home, or or it's not extreme. It's only extreme because we don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay, but or a flat roof, or in an A-frame. Those are the kinds of things that people typically would build, not in a neighborhood, but, you know, on 3 acres on the side of a hill somewhere with a great view. You know, that's the kind of thing you would expect to see there. So then that brings in a whole other set of problems, which was, okay, now where do I find my 3 acres?
Yeah.
You know?
Jeez.
So
that's another tough thing. Yeah.
That is a tough thing. And very honestly, most people, you know, citizens, either don't have the time or the patience or the background to research all that. So that's another reason that they would use someone like yourself to help facilitate all that. And you may not know it either, but you have more of the resources to be able to track that down more quickly and expeditiously than the average citizen would.
Yeah, for sure. And so, yeah, I mean, these covenants, I think it makes it tough because a lot of, especially first-time builders and maybe younger folks, might see, you know, they're looking at the existing housing market and the inventory so low, they're seeing not very much out there, not very much fitting their wants and needs. And so then they start looking, they see like lots for sale, you know, maybe they see a lot for 30 grand or 40 grand. And then they look up, you know, like how much for new build, price per square foot or something. And they start doing the math in their head and they're like, oh yeah, you know, maybe I could build something for $275,000 on this lot. We buy the lot, we put in a $220,000 house, boom, we won't finish the basement or anything like that. We can get it done super cheap. It'll be great. And then they find out that covenants are a thing.
Yeah, then covenants have minimum square footages many times. Most covenants do. Every once in a while, you'll find, you know, I try to avoid square footage when I'm helping write covenants because of the escalating and, you know, pricing, the changing prices of things. What you don't want to do as a developer is write covenants that might price you out of the ability to sell lots that houses can be built on at the very end of the addition. So that's something that I try to work with them on, is to make things as flexible as possible. But still, I think of covenants as protective covenants rather than restrictive covenants, because what we're trying to do is we'd like to, at the end of the project, be protecting the people who invested early. You know, protecting their property values and protecting their right to peaceful use of their property. And so that's why covenants are necessary. And in many places now, you know, homeowners associations are also necessary because of the DNR restrictions that require holding, you know, not wastewater, but holding stormwater on site. So those have now facilitated common spaces that need to have a homeowners association. So it's a changing world, and there are new regulations definitely every year. I was going to say almost every week, and that might be a little extreme.
Yeah.
But so that's it takes. You know, it's not the same old thing where you can go out and hack off 5 acres off of your uncle's farm, you know, easily and just build a house there. You know, it's not like it was 35 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing with that process too, if you're going to, you know, try to hack off 5 acres or you find 3 acres that's for sale out in the country with no covenants or whatever, if there's no, if electricity's not right there accessible, if there's no well drilled, if there's no septic system or anything like that, those expenses start to add up.
They get really large. In fact, when I'm working with people, like I get in conversations all the time with landowners. Typically maybe a farmer who has a part of his land he thinks he or she wants to develop, thinks they ought to sell it for development land. Well, when we sit down, the first questions I ask is, okay, where's electricity? Where's gas? Where's the closest of everything, that we need? And then we go into the other things about the services that aren't utilities. And a lot of times, you can end up spending a couple of $100,000, which may amount to the price of 4 or 5 lots in a subdivision. Well, you better have a fairly large number of lots, or that money can't get spread very quickly.
Yeah. In terms of, a developer when they're considering
something, right?
There's a solid 20 acres, probably at least, of farmland smack dab here out in the west end at Dubuque. It gets planted corn and harvested every year, and I'm just thinking whoever owns that piece of land at some point is probably going to make some decent money when they decide to pull the trigger.
Or their children will.
Or their children, yeah.
Many times I find that it's the kids who left the farm. If they're still farming, a lot of times they want to keep doing that. But if they've left the farm and mom and dad no longer are farming, then that's when we start talking to them about development a lot of times. And we don't go seek those people out. We're not knocking on their door going, what, is dad sick yet? You don't operate that way.
Yeah.
But you look at those and you think, it's close to utilities, it's close to everything that people need for daily needs, it's close into schools. All that makes that in the path of progress is the way I like to phrase it, as opposed to sitting, 10 miles over the next hill in a valley that's beautiful, but it's going to be 40 years before any town gets close to it.
Yeah. When you talk to developers, do you mostly do residential neighborhoods? Have you ever experienced development downtown Quad Cities, like a big building or something, like a new construction, big multi-purpose building?
I have not, because my career has been based around residential new construction, but I have been next to it, and we obviously at Rule and Rule we have a commercial sister company, Rule Commercial, that's headquartered out of Davenport and has offices around the region too, where that's their specialty. And many times, if I get a call for something that's going to include commercial or be, it looks like it should to me, then we get with those people and we utilize their expertise. And and the same thing conversely is true when they see a residential piece next to a commercial piece, then we do that. But I try to stay in my own lane as best I can. As an analogy, nobody has a perfect driving record, over the course of a career.
Yeah.
So if we stay in our own lane, that's helpful.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good place to start, just staying in our lane. I mean, it definitely is, for sure. I know, again, going back to, I was on vacation last week, and one of the Uber drivers I was with, he was talking about how there was 43 skyscrapers being developed in Austin, Texas over the next 10 years. I was like, geez, that's a lot of development.
Well, especially in a time, depending on what they're going to do with those skyscrapers, if they're, if the first 4 floors are commercial or business, and then the rest of them are residential, that might be one thing. But when I look at my view of commercial, is that so many people through the pandemic have decided that they can work from home. And companies that are leasing or owning a lot of commercial space are going, that's great. I have 2 daughters, one in Chicago, one in Minneapolis, who are corporate employees. Neither of them have been into their office for more than a touch base in a year and a half. And one of them doesn't expect to ever go back to their office. So I think, I see when I think of 10 skyscrapers.
43
skyscrapers
in the next 10 years.
Okay. When I think of that, I think of that is overpowering. Now, that city might be growing so fast that it can absorb it, but it just sounds like, I think for instance, in the Quad Cities, in Des Moines, you're going to see, I think, a relatively excess amount relatively excessive amount of office space available, which, now some of that will be, some of the office space, now I don't know about Austin, but some of that office space will be obsolete. So some of it may have to come down.
Yeah.
So they might be replacing some things with that too, but I don't know anything about Austin to know about that market.
Interesting. Development is cool. New construction is cool, and it's too bad. We got a good conversation here, a wealth of knowledge, Dave Falk, and I really appreciate you being on. But we do have other commitments today, so we are going to cut this one short. But Dave, thanks for being on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And with that, we are out.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Real Estate in the Tri-State. We want to encourage all of our listeners to send in any and all real estate questions to us at rottlerpodcast@gmail.com. More details in our show notes.
And as always, let's have a great day, folks.